In the vast silence of space, far above the blue marble we call home, two astronauts embarked on missions that would reshape our understanding of life beyond Earth, tested the limits of human endurance and ingenuity. Their journey from an 8-day test flight to an unplanned 9-month odyssey aboard the International Space Station is a testament to resilience and the spirit of exploration. This is the story of Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, pioneers, explorers, and icons of modern spaceflight. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, from Starliner setbacks to space pioneers. Sunita Williams, a decorated U.S. Navy officer and test pilot, became an astronaut in 1998. With Slovenian and Indian heritage, Williams has spent a total of 608 days in space over multiple missions. She held the record for the most spacewalk time by a female astronaut, with 62 hours across various spacewalks.
They both carried out a critical 5.5-hour spacewalk to repair a radio communications unit.
She has since become a veteran of 3 space missions: Expeditions 14 to 15, 32 to 33, and 71 to 72. Her stay wasn't just about duration, it was about discovery. She also became the first woman to command a new U.S. spacecraft Boeing Starliner.
Very honored to have had that opportunity to see both of them up close and personal and ride them both. I don't know if I have a preference, honestly. They're both great for different reasons.
If you can dream it, you can do it, even if it's in zero gravity. Moreover, Sunita Williams ran the first ever triathlon in space, using a treadmill, stationary bike, and resistance training. A triathlon is a multi-sport race that combines 3 different activities, usually done one after the other: 1 swimming, 2 cycling, 3 running. Butch Wilmore, also a U.S. Navy captain and test pilot, was selected as a NASA astronaut in 2000. He has accumulated 464 days in space, serving as a pilot for space shuttle missions and as a commander aboard the ISS. He brought not only leadership but technical brilliance, aiding numerous complex systems aboard the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore, known for his calm leadership, famously helped build and install the first ever 3D printer on the in-space during his stay aboard the International Space Station in 2014 as part of Expedition 41 to 42, ushering in a new era of space manufacturing.
Their message, the sky is not the limit when there are footprints on the moon.
Butch could fix anything, and Sunita could lift everyone's spirits. Together, they made the station feel like home.
Butch and Sunny add on to this, but one of the things that I noticed was a dramatic increase in the complexity and just the weightiness of the experiments that we were conducting this time around on the station since 6 years ago when I was last there.
In the legacy of scientists and explorers, Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore are writing a chapter still unfolding. They are torchbearers for a generation reaching for the stars, not just with technology, but with heart. Upon approach to the ISS, the Starliner experienced a thruster malfunction. 4 of its engines failed, leading to a complete loss of control.
And liftoff of Starliner and Atlas V.
They got there on June 6th of 2024, but their spacecraft malfunctioned.
NASA and Boeing identified helium leaks and experienced issues with the spacecraft reaction control system, or RCS thrusters.
NASA engineers remotely managed a recovery maneuver, but the incident exposed serious design and software flaws. We were faced with a critical decision: attempt to dock with compromised thrusters or abort the mission. NASA waived standard protocols, allowing mission control to reset 2 thrusters remotely, enabling a successful docking.
Starliner has the most capability when you think about its ability to maneuver automatically, you think about its ability to maneuver manually in all phases of flight, and then we have a mode, if those modes have failure modes, we have a backup mode where we can go directly from controllers to the reaction control system jets and maneuver the spacecraft.
Despite these challenges, the Starliner managed to dock autonomously with the ISS. However, concerns about the spacecraft's reliability led to the decision to return it to Earth uncrewed. Leaving Williams and Wilmore aboard the ISS for an extended mission was too risky. NASA made a bold decision. Wilmore and Williams would stay aboard the ISS indefinitely, while Starliner's issues were addressed on Earth.
Our core value is safety.
Originally slated for an 8-day mission, Williams and Wilmore's stay extended to 286 days. During this time, they transitioned from test pilots to integral members of Expedition 71/72.
Honored to be working with Crew 8 and seeing all that they were doing and just trying to help them with their stuff, and then being prime, moving up to the prime spots for Crew 9 and Expedition 72 as we took on a lot of experiments ourselves, as well as spacewalks and what the space station is doing to help us in exploration is really encouraging, and it's exciting.
Staying for a record-breaking 286 days, contributing significantly to various scientific endeavors.
So we're doing a bunch of stuff, like Butch alluded to, physiology, understanding what happens to humans as they're in space for a longer period of time. That brings in lots of science experiments in chemistry, in biology. Some of that stuff all comes back to Earth because we're doing some amazing stuff in the microgravity environment. Some of it is mirrored, for example, in our own human bodies. And so there's a lot of stuff that's happening for us, for exploration, for the humans, as well as for Earth. And then, as Nick alluded to, there's all sorts of systems and other things that we're testing up there to help us take those next steps to go back to the moon and onto Mars, figuring out all these exploration systems, including docking vehicles, like different types of spacecraft that we have up there, other types of commercial spacecraft that are coming up for resupply. That's all a huge program to get us to understand how we're going to take the next steps in exploration.
Key achievements from their long stay in space. Their work encompassed a range of activities, including conducting experiments in microgravity, supported over 250 scientific experiments in areas like genetics, fluid dynamics, and microgravity effects, performing maintenance on the station, participating in spacewalks. Notably, Williams set a record for the most cumulative spacewalk time by a female astronaut, totaling 62 hours. They also served as subjects for physiological studies, tracking how extended spaceflight affects muscles, vision, and mental health. NASA engineers said, "These long-duration missions have been key in understanding the physiological toll of microgravity, from muscle atrophy to bone density loss and vision issues."
And seeing how my body adapted, whether that was a vascular aging experiment where we're measuring how stiff my arteries get because life in space tends to manifest itself as accelerated aging, and so we can better understand how the human body responds to that and hopefully provide some treatments on the ground to help with problems that as you get older you encounter. How our immune system works, did a whole study on the immune system and how my body was responding.
What Williams and Wilmore endured and reported back helped shape countermeasures for future missions to the moon and Mars. Their experiments range from fluid dynamics to genetic research. They were instrumental in testing exercise regimes, dietary plans, and medical protocols, all vital for the survival of astronauts on missions lasting years. Fellow astronauts said, "Sunita and Butch's adaptability and dedication were instrumental in advancing our understanding of long-duration spaceflight and its effects on the human body."
Butch and Sunny talk up here, they make it sound like, everybody figured out what they could do with us. The reality is they are highly skilled, very technically competent, and it took everything I had on every day to keep up with them as they're moving along. So they were more than just gap fillers on the station. They were productive.
In February 2025, after nearly 9 months in space, Sunita and Butch returned to Earth aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule.
Dragon capsule just minutes ago was going over 17,000 miles per hour, and now gently coasting to a soft splashdown.
200.
Copy, 200 meters. Brace for splashdown.
As you can see there on your screen, continuing to monitor progress of the Dragon spacecraft. And we're going to stand by for splashdown, located in the Gulf of America, off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
Copy splashdown. We see main chutes cut. Nick, Alex, Butch, Sunny, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
In post-mission interviews, Wilmore described the thruster failure as far more serious than initially reported. Yet both astronauts remain optimistic about Starliner's future.
Would you guys go up on Starliner again?
Yes. Because we're going to rectify all the issues that we encountered.
Yeah.
We're going to fix them. We're going to make it work. Boeing's completely committed. NASA is completely committed. And with that, I get on in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would agree. The spacecraft is really capable. There were a couple things that need to be fixed, like Butch mentioned, and folks are actively working on that. But it is a great spacecraft, and it has a lot of capability that other spacecraft don't have. And to see that thing successful and to be part of that program is an honor.
Williams added, "This is why we train, to handle the unexpected. Space teaches us adaptability."
Foremost, we were always coming back, and I think people need to know that. And we're back to actually, share our story with so many people because, like you all mentioned, it's slightly unique, and there's some lessons learned to it. And part of that is just resilience and being able to take a turn that was unexpected and make the best of it. And I think that is the biggest thing that I want to, pass down, particularly to kids who think that their life should be the straight arrow to what you want to do, and you're just going to get there. Well, sometimes it takes some turns, some rights and some lefts, and you just keep focused on your goal, and other doors might be open for you. So I think that's the biggest message.
Williams also stated, "Space exploration is about facing the unknown and overcoming challenges. Our experience underscores the importance of resilience and teamwork."
I think the clear message is that, like I said when I started, it takes a team. It takes a team of motivated and passionate individuals. We don't have a human spaceflight program. You don't have folks sitting up here in a blue suit without the massive team that's making it all happen. We get to ride the pointy end of the rocket. It is wonderful. We get to go to the space station. We're the arms and the eyes for PIs here on Earth. They're the ones that are doing the hard work. We're just setting up and doing and switching and changing. So it takes a team, and I would say any part of this team is a great and wonderful place to be, and because we're proud of all of them, because we don't have it without them.
Whereas Wilmore said about failure of Boeing's mission, "We all own this. We're not going to look back and say that person or that entity's to blame. We're going to look forward and say, what are we going to do to use our lessons learned and make sure we're successful in the future?"
Where do you lay the blame for your Starliner test flight? Clearly, Starliner was not ready to fly when it did. Whom do you hold responsible for everything that happened? Thanks.
That is a question that I cannot answer in a couple of comments, but I'll start with me. There were some issues, of course, that happened with Starliner. There were some issues, of course, that happened that prevented us from returning on Starliner. And I'll start with me. There were questions that I, as the commander of the spacecraft, that I should have asked, and I did not. At the time, I didn't know I needed to. And maybe you could call that hindsight, but I'll start and point the finger and I'll blame me. I could have asked some questions, and the answers to those questions could have turned the tide. So blame, that's a term, I don't like that term, but certainly there's responsibility throughout all the programs, and certainly you can start with me. Responsibility with Boeing? Yes. Responsibility with NASA? Yes. All the way up and down the chain. We all are responsible. We all own this. And we are, in this business, trust. You cannot do this business without trust. You have to have ultimate trust. And for someone to step forward and these different organizations say, hey, I'm culpable for a part of that issue, that goes a long way to maintaining trust. So we're not going to look back and say this happened or that happened and that person or that issue or that entity's to blame. We're going to look forward and say, what are we going to use our lessons learned from this whole process and make sure that we are successful in the future. This is a tough business. The analogy about it is it's always a curvy road. It's never straight in this business. And minimizing those curves and being systems and processes in effect to prevent some of these curves is what we have to do as we leave low Earth orbit and go beyond to the moon and beyond that. So we're going to look forward, and that's the focus.
The journey of Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore serves as a beacon for aspiring scientists and engineers. Their story exemplifies the spirit of exploration and the relentless pursuit of knowledge that propels humanity forward.
And what would you say to one of your fellow astronauts before they go up on another test flight?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think we all have alluded to it. There's lessons learned. And that's like a piece of hope, right? We're not just sitting here doing the same thing over and over again, and we're learning from every mistake potentially, or maybe a decision that we've made and how we could make that better and do better the next time. When we go to the moon, we won't have an International Space Station to maybe take a stop at. We really have to get it right. And because of our mission, I think that highlighted some areas where maybe we need to work on and get it right for our fellow astronauts. I think they're encouraged by that, right? You learn and you move on and you get better. And I think that's part of the learning process. It's part of the exploration process.
As we stand on the precipice of new frontiers, let their legacy inspire us to reach beyond our limits, to explore the unknown, and to contribute to the ever-expanding tapestry of human discovery. Beyond their technical achievements, these astronauts left a human legacy, proving that astronauts are not just explorers, but scientists, problem solvers, and leaders. Their mission, marked by uncertainty and triumph, is now a blueprint for long-duration, deep space travel, essential for missions to the moon and Mars.
We're in human spaceflight. We prepare for any number of contingencies because this is a curvy road. You never know where it's going to go. We prepare for this. So we, as Sunny used the term, and it's a great term, we pivoted to all that training we did that we didn't think we needed to do, and a lot of people didn't think we needed to do, but we did it anyway, as we pivoted to this other preparation, and that is what makes human spaceflight, your human spaceflight program, special. It is hard, like I said, and preparing for any number of contingencies is what we do. It happened to be me and Sunny involved in this, but it could have been any one of the astronauts. There's 40 or so of us eligible for assignment. It would have been any one of us that would have been in the same situation, or could have been in the same situation, and would have done the exact same thing that we did, because they would have gone prepared just like we did.
Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore may have launched aboard Starliner, but their mission is already fueling the Artemis generation, a generation that will walk on the moon, set foot on Mars, and push science beyond Earth's orbit.
I mean, all of this is STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math. And I'm hoping the work that we've done up there also encourages the next generation of kids to understand that how important that is and how they can become involved. We did lots of experiments up there with kids and universities and companies, trying out new guidance, navigation, control algorithms and robots that were flying inside the space station, competitions, for example, for them. And that's pretty awesome that you can really touch and talk to kids on the ground as you're doing experiments up there, and they have their finger on the pulse of science experiments, and they can understand that and think to themselves, I could be part of this one day.
To the future explorers watching this, Sunita and Butch show us that even in failure, there is discovery. That courage and curiosity can turn obstacles into opportunities, and that the universe is not just out there, it's waiting for you. This is Physics Enigma, and this was the legacy of Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, scientists, astronauts, and pioneers of the unknown.